Hello and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'll be reviewing my custom LEGO Transformers 1 Optimus Prime. Now, this is a rather special video, as this is the first build I've done for the upcoming Transformers 1 film. And as the trailer didn't feature Optimus as much as Orion, I've decided to base this on the Studio Series toy. Now, obviously I don't own that figure as it's not released yet, but I've looked at the promo images to base this guy on. And the reason I'm starting in robot mode this time is because in the film we know that he will start off in robot mode as he is unable to transform. And also because he was in robot mode before I started filming. So anyways, let's get on to the details. So starting off with the chest, I think I've done a pretty good job emulating the design that's shown in the film. Or rather based on the Studio Series version. I also think I've done a good job at this exaggerated waist area, as well as these smokestacks, which obviously are full pieces as they turn into guns for the vehicle. He also has a rather Siege Prime backpack. And if you've seen the transformation for the Studio Series figure, you know he is actually quite similar to the old Siege Prime. I also like how much I've managed to compress these red panels into the back of the legs, as they don't stick out too much. I've also got these two circular details on the legs. Obviously one is made with a rather strange piece, a minifigure foot, but I think it works quite well. And if you look at the Studio Series toy, you can see these yellow lights, which I decided to add here. Now, speaking of the old Siege Prime, here he is. So you can see this guy is actually quite tall, which is obviously a contrast to his Studio Series toy, which will be a deluxe. And here he is with Rise of the Scourge, who is ever so slightly taller due to his long neck. And here he is with Revenge of the Fallen Megatron. And even though they're a similar height, you can see Prime does look slightly wider. And here is a quick imitation of the pose we see in the trailer. Obviously I couldn't get the lighting quite right here, but for the most part I think this looks alright. Even if the light in the middle is slightly too bright and kind of drowns everything else out. But for a quick attempt, I think this actually looks quite good. And he does include the blue Energon axe, which both the toys come with. And this thing plugs in just under his hand to try to replicate what it'll look like in the movie. And in my opinion, it does look quite good, as this was a last-minute addition to the build. Now, I'm not going to be covering articulation, because to be honest, I don't really see the point, as most of the joints are pretty obvious. As the arms can go slightly out to the side, a full 360, the elbows bend 90, and the hips are on universal joints as well as 90-degree knee bends, as well as a ball joint to the ankles. But I don't really see a point of animating that, as when you build these LEGO figures, you don't really build them for their posing. So anyways, let's get down to the transformation. So to start off with, we can rotate the head 90 degrees, so it should be facing the side. And this will give us clearance to fold up the backpack, as is on these hinge pieces, so it should look something like that. Next we can come to the shoulders, which are on these hinge pieces, so they should fold something like that. And now, using the rotation that was out of the shoulder joint, you can fold them up, and this will give us clearance for a later step. And speaking of that later step, we can now rotate around the entire grille and arm assembly, so it should look something like this. And using another rotation joint, we can fold around his chest piece, so you can already see the cab starting to come together. And next, we can fold up the hip skirts on these hinge pieces, so it should look flat against the chest. And we can also rotate around the waist. The next step is to uncompress the legs. So we can take the first set of hinge joints and fold it out like this. And that should be fine for now. So now we can flatten out the legs. And I also used the arms for balance here, just so you could see what was going on. Now, using the previously mentioned hinge joints, we can fold them and they should compress into the front grille area. And we can also rotate the arms down again, so it should look like that. And we can unfold the elbows. And now, using these slider joints at the top, we can compress the arms into the side of the truck, looking something like that. And now we can unfold this last set of hinges. And that is all the kibble on his legs unfolded. And now, using these ratchet joint pieces, we can fold these panel sections, and they should wrap around the side of the truck. And now we can fold the head, and it should just hinge back into the cavity that is left there. Now for one of the final steps, we can compress this roof section as it is on a series of hinges. So it should compress to something like this, where it is very flat. And for the actual final step, we can take the ball joints in the feet and compress it as much as possible. So that is it for his vehicle mode. And in my opinion, this vehicle does look very good. So here he is with Siege Prime, as obviously these figures do share quite a lot of similarities. And here he is with JP93, as well as Nest Bone Crusher. So you can see this guy is quite large. And here's with Speed Champion's car. Now, I have no idea if this is in scale, because he is a Cybertronian vehicle, and unfortunately, I've never been to Cybertron. But if you have, let me know in the comments, and tell me whether this is in scale or not. And here he is with a minifigure. So you can see he is actually quite a large truck. And from the side, you can see his cab mode is actually quite clean. Except for the feet, which they did used to be shorter, but I made them longer, which does compromise this mode slightly, but helps him to be more stable. And unfortunately, he is slightly hollow at the back. But from the front, I think he looks very movie accurate, with the 4 guns pointed forward. And in my opinion, this is a very good alt mode. And it replicates the Studio Series toy very well, which was always my goal. And I'm very happy with this alt mode, because as far as we can tell from the film, it is pretty accurate. And unfortunately I forgot to film it, but you can fold around the guns on his shoulders to make them into more jet thruster style pieces. But that's pretty much it for the vehicle mode. So if you haven't already, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more weekly LEGO Transformers. So I hope you all enjoyed this video as in my first Transformers 1 build. And in my opinion, this turned out very good, considering I don't own the Studio Series fig and there's not really any great reviews for it out there yet. So I hope you all enjoyed this review, and I'll see everybody next week for another LEGO Transformer.